Behind me is one of the interesting things at the Contemporary. It's the four-sided mural in the center part of the main concourse, on the main concourse, the Grand Canyon concourse. This is a mural that was done by Mary Blair, and that's on all four sides of the centerpiece here. And it's really interesting. It's a textured mural, and it represents something about the way we live as people. And it's really kind of neat. And Mary Blair put a lot of effort into this and kind of time, and had an intentional mistake in it that I'll point out to you in a moment. But it's really kind of interesting, and it's well worth spending a few minutes to look at while you're here. The design of the Contemporary Hotel was modern, and for the early 1970s seemed futuristic. But structurally, it needed a support column in the middle of it. The A-frame design could support the weight using the pyramid design, but its overall dimensions, the desire for space on the top floor, and the monorail running through it required one additional piece of concrete to be used as a support. And this central column would double as the elevator shaft that allowed access to all floors on the building. But while the column broke the design in half, it was also monolithic, and it didn't really have the visual appeal that Disney wanted with a modern hotel. And besides, in its uncompleted form, one Imagineer said it resembled a place where the Goodyear blimp comes to mate. Enter Mary Blair. Blair had attended art school, worked at Warner Brothers, and was hired by Walt Disney in 1940 because she had shown a real flair for her designs. She went to work on several animated films of the era, including Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, and Cinderella. But her real claim to fame was that she was the lead designer on the It's a Small World attraction that debuted at the New York World's Fair in 1963. A few years later, in 1967, she created murals for Tomorrowland at Disneyland. These murals were remarkable, and though they've been covered up in recent years, they really do stand out as true pieces of art. But I would argue that her greatest achievement, her true contribution to the art world, was in the Grand Canyon Concourse. It received its name because of the massive size. It was literally like a Grand Canyon. And as such, designers thought it needed a somewhat southwestern theme with a color palette that was befitting that. Sometime in 1970, with park opening less than a year away, Blair was asked to design a series of murals for the concourse. Her solution was to create a 9-story ceramic interpretation of the Grand Canyon from the canyon floor up to the rim. To construct the mural, Blair hand-painted 18,000 one-foot square individual tiles, laying them on a flat surface. They were then fire-glazed, and they were installed on the wall, just like tiles in a shower. The central column is visible in all 4 directions. So in effect, there are 4 different murals, each telling a different part of the story of children, animals, and geology of the Grand Canyon. Formally, it's referred to as the Pueblo Village. The 2 sides that face the ends, where the monorail enters and exits, are both visible from anywhere on that end. Each shows the view up the canyon with goats and other animals standing on ledges as you look up. But the other 2 sides are more subtle, and on each of those sides, the floors connect through the elevator, so it's not one flat wall, but rather 2 walls. So in essence, there are 2 murals on each of these sides. While the 2 murals are related to each other, it actually means there are 6 distinct murals on the column overall. The side facing the escalators is shown here. First, let's look at the one on the left. It shows people living on the bottom, and as you head up, there are animals depicted, and at the top are birds, and then clouds that have a blue outline. And then we look at the one on the right, which is very similar, again with blue-hued clouds. The side facing the monorail is a little harder to see in its entirety due to its placement, but you can see it if you find just the right spot. From the monorail platform, you can catch a lot of it. Take a look as the monorail comes in on the express loop between the Transportation and Ticket Center and the Magic Kingdom. The murals are on the right of the forward motion. Now let's turn around and look the other way. This is facing the other way, so you can see the mural a little better from the monorail position. You can also see the mural from the floors above, though only one side at a time because of the way they're oriented. Again, we have people at the bottom and it goes through animals and birds, but this side ends in red-hued clouds. The one on the left also has a little bunny staring at you. The right one is perhaps a little more whimsical. Take some time and study it on a future visit. It's dense, complex, multi-layered, and very detailed. There are textures, shapes, and design elements that are amazing. There are seemingly incongruous mixes of colors, and while it looks simple, there really is nothing simple about it at all. And as for her use of color, Mary Blair looked at it very differently. Red is never just red. It's slightly orange or maybe closer to coral. Secondary colors such as green or avocado, chartreuse, or turquoise. You don't see a standard color palette in here. You can really see Mary Blair's color sensibilities shown here, and it really does have a similar feel to the It's a Small World attraction. Now there is one pretty cool feature in the design. On the side facing Chef Mickey's, one of the goats depicted on the upper left has 5 legs. This was a feature designed by Mary Blair. In essence, the goat symbolizes that nothing is perfect. And they used to remind cast members that you should embody that. Strive to create magic for everyone, but you're only human and sometimes you might make a mistake. And that's the story of the Mary Blair Pueblo Village.
To a spectacular open mall lobby called the Grand Canyon Concourse. The Concourse, which is actually the hotel's 4th floor, gets its name from the colorful 10-story mural, which covers all 4 sides of the central elevator shaft. Truly a modern work of art, this mural is made up of over 18,000 individually hand-painted and fire-glazed ceramic tiles.
Incidentally, Google paid tribute to Mary Blair on her birthday. That's just how remarkable she was.